Yes, we are now recording.
Great. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I hope we've all gone through a wonderful day. Otherwise, we're going to have a wonderful meeting now. I want to start by asking everybody to do our best to avoid any distractions during this meeting. And next, I'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now I will pass the meeting on to our President, Shastri Stewart.
All right, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and puppy. Welcome again. We have another Monday meeting. Also, we have one guest, so I want to acknowledge our guest as well. Before I do so, let me share our mission statement. It is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence. So I believe we have one guest, two guests. I'm sorry. Thank you, Gary. We have Sophia and...
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Sophia. And...
Mark.
Who's the other one? Mark?
Hi,
I don't see him in the... I don't see him, but we'll start with Sophia. So Sophia, if you could just tell us a little quick history about who you are and why you're about to attend our meeting tonight.
everyone. Good evening. My name is Sophia Assam. I work with Florida Crystals, also known as ASR Group. My sister is Sonia, if you guys haven't noticed the resemblance. She has told me so many good things about this meeting, and she thought that I should also join to improve my public speaking skills. So here I am. Thank you for inviting me, and I feel very special to attend, honestly. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. And for some reason, I was looking for someone else besides Mark as a guest, because for some reason, I don't think Mark is a guest. But anyway, Mark, if you can give us a few words. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yes, I am really happy to be here tonight with you guys. And I'm a longtime listener, first time caller. My wife, Stacy, has just now allowed me to come into your group and meeting. No, just kidding. Anyways, no, I'm here to improve my speaking skills as well. And thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for attending, and thank you for being an awesome husband.
Thank you.
All right, next, moving on. Our meeting have a theme of each week. Our word of the day and our table topics will be significant with the theme each week. So our theme is Make Every Day Earth Day. And our word of the day is magnetic. All right, without further ado, I'll introduce our Toastmaster of the day, Miss Sonia Garate. She'll come forward and provide. One second. Oh, I can't find this thing. Oh, so Sonia.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Monday night meeting on the 20th of July. So our theme, as our president stated, is Make Every Day Earth Day. And I thought this was a really appropriate theme because I think lots of us have been working from home and probably therefore making less waste. I recall when I was going into the office, I used lots of styrofoam cups for coffee, lots of plastic stirrers, and all of these things have changed. And I think even when we start going back, we need to take a conscious effort about how our behavior affects the planet and affects waste. So Make Every Day Earth Day. As Toastmaster of the day, I serve as your Master of Ceremonies, and for the benefit of our 2 guests and our members, a traditional Toastmasters meeting has 3 sections: formal speeches, table topics, and evaluations. On the Zoom platform, remember to use your reaction buttons after we have our speakers talk using the thumbs up or the clap. And we also have our chat function, so give feedback in the chat to all of our functionaries and also our speakers tonight. Throughout the meeting, our members have the opportunity to practice their listening, critical thinking, and management skills by serving in various roles. Toastmaster Ray Melendez, could you please explain your role as our counter? Oh, Ray, you're on mute. We don't hear that.
Just Sonia. Toastmaster of the day. The purpose of the yaw counter is to note any sounds used as crutch by anyone who speaks during the meeting. You will hear this sound, hopefully everybody heard it. When we hear the words such as ah, or used inappropriate interjections. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ray. And I did hear that ding, so hopefully I'll be listening out for that tonight. Toastmaster Summer Matthews, could you please explain your role as grammarian wordmaster?
One benefit of Toastmasters is that it helps people improve their grammar and word use. Being grammarian provides an exercise in expanding listening skills. I have several responsibilities to introduce new words to members, to comment on language used during the course of the meeting, and provide examples of eloquence. The word of the day is magnetic. The definition is possessing an extraordinary power or ability to attract. An example is a cult leader who attracted followers with his magnetic gaze. I encourage anyone speaking during any part of the meeting to use magnetic or word of the day. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Summers, and thank you for stepping into the role in short notice. Next, Toastmaster Stacy Kessler, could you please explain your role as timer tonight? Oh, you're on mute, Stacy.
Stacy, you're on mute.
There we go.
I'm just going to make a request if everyone could mute their phones or their computers until you're up. There's some background noise with some beautiful children that we love dearly. Toastmaster of the day, thank you. I am responsible this evening for monitoring time for each speaker. I operate the timing signals to indicate the speech length. Timing begins with the first definite verbal or non-verbal communication with the audience. As the general timer, whomever is speaking and has control of the meeting, please pay attention to the red color behind me, as this means you get to wrap it up wherever you are quickly, professionally, and as efficient as possible. These are the 3 colors you will see tonight. The green signals, and then we have the yellow and the red. Thank you, our magnetic personality of the evening, Toastmaster Sonia Garate.
Thank you, Toastmaster Stacy. And next, Toastmaster Shay Greaves, could you please explain your role as General Evaluator?
Yes, thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. My role for tonight is the General Evaluator. You can think of the General Evaluator as a quality control manager for this meeting. I'll be commenting on the overall flow and giving feedback towards the end of our meeting tonight. Thank you. Sonia, you're muted. You're muted.
Thank you for that, Shay. The first section of our meeting is formal speeches, and tonight we have all three. And Toastmaster Susanna, could you please provide us with the project information for our first speaker tonight?
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. Tonight, Ray Mendelis is going to be talking about doing what matters most. That's his project title. As far as his pathway, it's dynamic leadership. Level 2, understanding your leadership style. And his speech is going to be 5 to 7 minutes. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. And timer, Toastmaster Stacy Kessler, could you please demonstrate the timing signals for this project?
Yes, I can. Toastmaster of the day. Toastmaster Ray Melendez, your speech is 5 to 7 minutes. So I will post the green background at 6 minutes. I will post the yellow background at 6.5 minutes. And I will post the red background when you have hit 7 minutes, and then you have 30 seconds to wrap it up. Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. And for our first speaker tonight, we have Toastmaster Ray Melendez. His speech title is Doing What Matters Most. Ray will be speaking about how we go through our day being busy and not always getting done what we want to get done. He will talk about how we can be more productive by narrowing our focus.
I'm sorry.
Please welcome Toastmaster Ray Melendez.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. How many of us have gone through a rough day and at the end have come and said, wow, I feel like I didn't get anything done, or I feel like I wasn't productive, or I feel like I didn't manage my time as I should have? How many of us have tried to go and resolve this by putting together a to-do list? And how many of us have that to-do list sitting somewhere, not too easily to be found, underneath a pile of paper or sitting in a drawer? Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Now, I could tell you myself, when I started my career, I remember being surrounded by people who were going from one meeting to another, running from one thing to another. They were very occupied and they seemed to be very productive. And I remember saying to myself, wow, I want to be like these people. So what did I do? I bought one of those Franklin Quest journals. Now, raise your hand if you remember the Franklin Quest journals. I'm not sure if they're still around, but I bought one. Why? Because I wanted to manage my schedule better, and I wanted to manage what I accomplished within the day, the week, or the month. And I'll tell you right now, I did not have the responsibilities that I have today, not at work or in my personal life. But when I would get my list of things to do that I wanted to accomplish for the day, I would go and scratch it off my list or mark it off the list. Now, my fellow Toastmasters, doesn't it feel great to mark something off your to-do list once you've accomplished something? Well, in my case, I started growing. My responsibilities started to grow. And so did my list. My list got longer and longer. And they weren't getting completed. At the end, what ended up happening was I stopped using that journal overall. Why? Because I was too busy to use it. Several years later, I remember picking up the paper and reading this article titled The Pareto Principle. Now, give me again a thumbs up if you've heard of the Pareto Principle. It's known as the 80-20 rule. If you haven't heard of it, basically it goes back to 1906 when Vilfredo Pareto realized that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the people. But that wasn't all. In his farm, 20% of his pea pods generated 80% of his healthy peas. Now, we could take that principle, that knowledge, and he said that we could take this and apply it to multiple parts of our lives, on our day-to-day lives. So I'll give you some examples. Take a publicly traded company, or any company for that matter. 80% of their business comes from 20% of their customers or their clients. Or myself, or most of us actually. 80% of what we do in a day comes from probably 20% of what we allocate in time. Or I'll give you even an easier one. I use my shoes, 20% of my shoes, 80% of the time. The key is to realize that it doesn't have to be 80-20, it could be 90-10, it could be 70-30. But to realize that, basically to realize that if we put small effort or small portions of our effort, we can generate large results if we use this as a tool. All right, so after reading this, I remember realizing that it's not a matter of getting most of the things off your to-do list as I was thinking originally. We come, and in my case, I was so overwhelmed, I was basically not even sure where to even start on my to-do list. I didn't know where to focus. We all have the same 24 hours a day. We all have the same 365 days a year. But some of us get more done than others within that time period. So how do they do that? It's a matter of focusing on what matters the most. Or better yet, building a success list. All right, so I'm going to start by giving you a list of 5 items of how to build your success list. Number 1, I want you to start generating a list of things that you want to accomplish. And this could be a list of 1 item or 100 items. It's your decision, right? I want you to write them all down on a piece of paper. Second, what I want you to do is define a period by when you want to get this completed. Within an hour? Within 5 years? You decide this, you define this. Number 3, I want you to take this list and prioritize it by what's most important for it first, or by what matters the most. Or as Stephen Covey stated, first things first, right? Now that you have your list together and in order, I want you to take that list and I want you to get 20% of that. This now, number 4, 5 is your success list. This is what you're going to use to focus on, right? And number 6, I know I said a list of 5, but I'm giving you here a bonus. Number 6, if you see that this list that you're focusing on now is not working, I want you to take this list and break it down further into the next 20%, right? This is now your success list. The key is to break this down into further tasks, smaller tasks when necessary. All right, so if we take these items into action, we are now more motivated to think differently, to think more effectively, to think more efficiently, and focus on what's more important. It's not a matter of being busy. You don't have to focus on being busy. I could tell you that myself. I went through it. It's a matter of being more productive, focusing on being productive. Success comes from focusing on what matters most. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ray. I really like that advice, especially the tearing off the piece that you think you're going to accomplish, but it won't happen.
Never does.
I would like to correct an error on my part when I began the meeting, and I did not give us time for our invocation. So at this time, I would like to ask Toastmaster Natifa to provide our invocation for tonight.
Good evening, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Make every day Earth Day. Why should we make every day Earth Day? Lady Bird Johnson said, the environment is where we all meet, where we all have a mutual interest. It is the only thing, the only one thing all of us share. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Toastmaster Natifa. And now going on to our second speech, Toastmaster Jack Miller. Could you please provide us with the project information for our second speaker? You're on mute, Jack. Not yet.
There.
Yeah.
I think he's frozen. He unmuted and then froze. Oh.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is froze, but I'm not on mine.
You're back, Jack. What? Oh.
There. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Our second speaker tonight is Consuelo Andrews, and she's speaking on her Pathways project, Humorously Speaking. Tonight, the title of her project is 70 Years and Still Dancing. Consuelo Andrews.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jack. So tonight, Connie has been a Toastmaster for almost 3 years. She always looks forward to Monday nights. She loves watching other Toastmasters in her club grow and excel in their communication and leadership skills, as well as her own skills. Toastmasters, though, is not only Monday nights, it's every day in her life. She loves to bring out the comedy, humor, light in all things. Tonight, sit back as she puts a smile on your face and light in your heart. Please welcome Toastmaster Connie Andrews.
Point of order for timing. I just wanted to navigate to the timing here, Connie Andrews. I will be displaying the green at 5 minutes, the yellow at 6 minutes, and the 7-minute mark you will be red, and you will have 30 seconds to wrap it up. I'm complete. Thank you.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests. How do you dance for 70 years? Think about that. How do we dance for 70 years? How do you stay married for 70 years? I'm going to tell you about a story that is very near and dear to my heart. It's about my mom and dad, and they are celebrating their 70th anniversary. Now, I want you to think right now, because you must be going, holy cow, 70 years, how is that possible? I mean, we're just making 10 years, or we're just making 7 years, or, you know, we just met. How do you wake up with the same person, roll over, you know, kiss that person, talk to that person for 70 years? What do you think it takes? They eloped in 1950, okay? No, my mom was not pregnant, because I know that's what some of you were thinking. I see that look in your face. It took patience, humor, rigor, respect, admiration, love. It took all of those things, but how did they implement those things for the 70 years? So I'm going to roll back and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how they met. They met back in 1948, and they were at a party on a Saturday afternoon. And in those days, you went to a party with a chaperone. It was a daytime party. Parties were not at night for young women of her age. And she went to this party, and she had this very handsome fellow dancing with her the whole time. And as time moved on during the party, there was another fellow in the corner. looking and waiting for that handsome guy to take a breather or go to the bathroom or something, but he was not leaving my mother's side. So he decided to tap on the guy's shoulder and tell him that somebody was asking for him downstairs out in front of the house of where they were at this party. And the guy excused himself, went downstairs, left the party, and guess who walked in and over to my mom, my dad. And they started dancing. And they have been dancing for 70 years. So how does that work? How does it possibly work? Patience, we talked about patience. So patience means a lot of breathing, a lot of yes dears, a lot of no dears, a lot of humor, being able to laugh at everything and seeing the humor in everything. A lot of rigor. Rigor meaning dedication to setting your goals as individuals as well as couples. Respect, honoring each other. They're honoring each other's viewpoints, as my beloved is always talking about. Viewpoints are so important. They don't have to think alike. They just have to respect and honor each other's viewpoints. Admiration. That's the magnetic part. That's the admiration that you look across the room 70 years later and your heart still skips a beat. So is it true that that love is all you need? I don't think so. Love is a huge ingredient of what goes on during those 70 years. But it's not everything. I believe that it is an accumulation of everything. As my dad recounted this story and my mom recounted the story, and they were both filling in the blanks of how they met, my dad turned to me and he said, "I made the right choice." Wow, that was so good to hear, because there were many times while I was growing up that, whoa, I wondered whether or not they were going to make it. But they were dedicated. They respected each other. They admired each other. And they had the rigor to keep on going and live their American dream, because they came from South America. So it was a combination of many things, of wanting to make it as a family, make it as a union together, and really set a great example for the family, for my brother, for myself. How many of you are dancing right now? Do you dance with your partner? When was the last time that you actually danced in the midst of everything that's going on in this world? Do you admire each other? Do you still look across the room and just stop for 2 seconds and look at each other and really be in that moment, and then go back to what you were doing? How many of you take the time to tell each other, "I love you, you matter, you are so special to me," or writing little notes like you did from day one? So I want you to think about all of these things. As Saturday, we celebrate Pedro and Betty's 70th wedding anniversary. Their biggest advice to us that evening was, always be grateful. Always try and see the happiness, the silver lining in all of it. So I share this with you so that you can take it back out and look at yourself and your relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Connie. 70 years, that certainly puts a smile on my face. Thank you for that story. And next, Toastmaster Henry Dow, could you please provide the project information for our third speaker?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Tonight, our speaker, Tim Morrell, is in his L1 pathway. That I think everybody knows that that's a lie. Tim is the OG and he doesn't need a pathway. Tim's speech is titled "Why Animals Are Important." His speech length will be 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Toastmaster Henry. And since it's the same timing, we will forego our timing cards that we had before, and I will move to our intro. 4 years ago, a longtime client, but really a special grandmother to Tim's children, asked him to attend a meeting with her estate planning lawyer in Fort Pierce. At that meeting, Millie and her lawyer advised Tim for the first time that Millie had stage 4 breast cancer and that she would like it if Tim would take over the running of her 20-acre animal farm known as Critter Creek. Not knowing exactly what critter caretaking involved, or for that matter, what critters they were talking about, Tim agreed. Millie died on March 7th, 2018, approximately 2.5 years ago. So 2.5 years later, Tim wants to share with us what he has learned from this adventure, more specifically, why animals are important. Please welcome Toastmaster Tim Morrell.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests, friends of Toastmasters. Why are animals important? It seems like such a obvious question, such a broad question, but in 2.5 years, I never thought of that question. Just never crossed my mind, other than Millie was special grandma to my kids. I've known her and her husband since the 80s. They were great mentors to me, and I helped them with a lot of their legal things over the years. And when their lawyer asked me a couple of years ago to come up to his office, because while I knew that Millie had wanted me to be her executor, I had no idea, and the lawyer thought that I probably had no idea, that I was being asked to run a farm, a critter farm. As you guess from some of the backgrounds that you've seen me put up, I've had backgrounds showing horses, and just tonight you saw me with a parrot on my arm. We've got goats, little bunny rabbits, chickens. I have an emu. How many of you ever played with an emu? Who knew that you could even do that, other than what little talks about? So when this lawyer told me that I was going to be in charge of the critters of Critter Creek, my first thought was, okay, what critters are we talking about? Rabbits, squirrels, rodents in the trees? What are we talking about? Well, it was all those critters I just mentioned, exotic birds, animals, bunnies, every sort of thing that you can think of. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, I remember that law school class. No, there was no law school class of this. And a while ago, a former division governor, who's a longtime friend of mine, asked me to come to a civic group and talk about why animals matter. And it was at that point that I really had to start thinking about what it was that I was doing, and just what this legacy was, and just really consider the impact that it's had on me. And the first thing that I came to is every week, every Wednesday, I take a cue from Toastmasters. We have a 1-hour staff meeting, and the meeting begins with a prayer. And if Stacy can help me out, I'm not really sure how to do the share screen myself, but I sent to Stacy a picture of the prayer. Do you have that, Stacy? There it is. He prayeth best who loveth best, all things both great and small. For the dear God who loveth us, he made and loveth all. Thanks, Stacy. You can take that down now. That comes from the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, and it was a favorite quote of the very first Toastmaster that I ever met, a man named Vincent Foy. He was 93 years old when he passed away. I met him when he was about 80. And he used to open up with, when he was asked to give the prayer to open a meeting, he always started with that. And I looked that up. I wanted to know the meaning of it. And the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, I think maybe many of you probably know culturally the significance of you've got an albatross around you. It means bad luck. Well, that's the whole story of the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner was a story of captain, sea captain, who just randomly killed a bird. And it was an albatross, randomly. And for the whole rest of his trip around the world, I think he was in South America, around the bottom of South America when he did this. The whole rest of the trip was filled with horrible encounters, things of a karmic sort of nature that came back to bite this guy. And as I thought about it, I thought about every animal, every bit of God's creation out there is something miraculous. And there's lots of studies I could bring to talk about this. I could tell you all about how it works. You pet an animal, it lowers your heart rate or decreases stress, things like that. But I've seen a lot more than that. I've seen miracles. I've seen kids come to our Critter Creek Sanctuary Ranch, kids who would never even look somebody in the eye, but they get up on a horse and they'll look at you, gaze at you deep in the eye with a big smile. A kid that's never laughed, a kid that doesn't socially interact. And I'll see that girl, I'm picturing one right now. She was playing with a goat, and all of a sudden she had the biggest smile, and it changed her life. I'm going to tell you a story. I've got another picture here. The best way I can do this is tell you a story. And another picture. Where's Stacy again? Stacy got my other picture? I want to introduce you to Sam and Kevin, if she can find that picture. Where did Sam and Kevin go? I don't see the picture. Oh, well. Stace, do we lose the picture? I don't know. Anyway, picture was gone. I don't know what happened, but it was a picture of a Mustang and a young man with Down syndrome. And that Mustang came to us 2 years old, and he had been pretty much starved to death. The only things he had known from human hands was to be beaten. He was castrated, injected with all kind of various things to keep him, antibiotics and stuff like that. But this was an animal that when he came to us at the sanctuary wouldn't have anything to do with anybody. There he is. That's Sam right there. Anyway, you could see this young man with Down syndrome. He got to our farm and he just immediately ran to see this horse, and the horse was by himself eating, and just ran to see him. And the horse, for whatever reason, interacted with him. I guess he sensed that there was no danger. And he came to see him, and it took a while, but this interaction back and forth with this young man who came back to our farm every week for about, I don't know, it was about 5-6 weeks. This horse now that we have, this horse is the most friendly horse. He will take people for rides. He interacts with people, and he changed this young man with Down syndrome. He brought him out of his shell. When you see these kids, when they come to us and they never talk, but all of a sudden they'll talk to our parrot. They don't want to engage with somebody, but they'll have one of our little bunny rabbits, and they'll pet the bunny rabbit's hair, and all of a sudden it's miraculous. And this young man with Sam the Mustang, every day I see the horse, and whenever Sam's mom calls us, it's just a miracle. That's why animals are important. They change our life. They're all works of God. On topic.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tim, and for those lovely photos as well. At this time, I'd like to get a brief timers report for our speakers.
All timers were in time this evening.
Thank you, Toastmaster Stacy. And as we wait for our vote ballots to appear, at this time, you guys please leave some feedback in the chat for our speakers, and also you could leave some feedback for our functionaries tonight. 1 or 2 points that you liked. And I think we should be wrapped up with our poll. You have a couple seconds left. And we will move on to the second section of our meeting, which is table topics. This is the opportunity for members to develop their extemporaneous speaking skills or impromptu speaking. Guests, Sophia and Mark, are encouraged to participate. Please welcome Toastmaster Hyun Green as our topics master tonight.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Madam Timer, can you please tell us real quick the timing requirement, please, for table topics?
Yes, the timing requirements for table topics this evening are, great question. I could use some support here, guys. Anyone who knows the timing signals, please let me know.
1 to 2 minutes. If you don't have the timing signal, I have my app.
No, I have, just tell me what the time is. Please.
Green at 1 minute, yellow at 1 minute 30 seconds, and red at 2 minutes.
Perfect.
Clap off at 2 minutes 30 seconds.
Perfect.
31.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gary.
Thank you very much. I would like to have at least 4 table topics, so we are going to get on with it. This is, as you know, impromptu 1 to 2 minute speech. It's a little different today. I am going to give you a notable quote, and you can please explain to me, to the group, what that quote means to you. I'm going to repeat it twice. The first one, Winston Churchill said, "When you are going through hell, keep going. When you are going through hell, keep going." What does it mean to you, Toastmaster David Perez?
Good afternoon, Toastmaster. Thank you for your question. Great quote. Oftentimes when we see successful stories, we see the things that that person had to go through in order to get to the top, to the elite. And that's when we realize, at least that's when I realized, that when we go through hell, we have to keep going. Sometimes we give up too soon. Sometimes we give up, and probably we just have to keep pushing a little bit further to get to the success that we needed to achieve. So I believe that the way I see it, that's how he projected the quote, to just keep going. Just push a little harder. We never know. Success might be just around the corner, and we shouldn't give up that easily. Thank you. Complete.
Thank you, Toastmaster David Perez. Very good. The next one. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "If life were predictable, it would cease to be life." If life were predictable, it would cease to be life. What does it mean to you, Toastmaster Natifa?
Good evening. If life were predictable, it would cease to be life, correct? What does this mean to me? First of all, I believe in not knowing the future. I believe in taking chances, seeing where things take me. So whenever I go, for example, I move to someplace new, I do only a little research because I like to be surprised at what I may see, what interesting things may be around, and that gives me a sense of surprise, sort of serendipitous, if you want to say something like that. Because when things are predictable, it seems to be boring. And I don't like boring, I like action. So I like to take that route where surprises, I like a little surprises, a little fun. So when things are predictable, it erases all of that from the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Latifa. Wonderful. The next, Abraham Lincoln said, it's not the years in your life that counts, it's the life in your years. It's not the years in your life that counts, it's the life in your years. I want to give this to our guest, Sophia Assam. Sophia, where are you? All right, take it away.
Hi, can you please repeat the quote? I might have misheard that really quickly.
It's not the years in your life that counts, it's the life in your ears that counts.
Oh, do you mean like ears or years?
Years.
Okay.
Y-E-A-R-S.
Okay. I think to me, that means you have to make the most of your life. We're only allotted so much time in our lives, we don't know when it will end. The only thing that's really guaranteed in life is taxes and death. So it's important to make every moment count and take advantage of the opportunities. I think what this quote means to me is that you only have one life to live and make the most of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Great job, guest. The next one. Thomas Edison said, I failed my way to success. I failed my way to success. What does it mean to you, our guest, Mark?
Thank you. Yes, that's a great quote. Failing is part of life. Failing creates character. Failing creates success. When we walk through life failing forward, and as long as we pick ourselves up and continue to move forward, failure is part of who we are and what makes us the great within. What I can see in my life has been trials and tribulations, whether it was through parenting, it might have been in our relationship, what I've tried and did not work. I would move forward through it and learn the lessons that were presented to me that I could then learn from and be a better person, be a better businessman, be a better father. And that to me was the most profound understandings of life, is just failing is part of life. As long as I decide to get back up and brush myself off, that I know that my life is continuing to move forward and I have every day to enjoy it. And I'm complete.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Madam Timer, do we have time for one more? Shall we go for one more?
We can go for one more.
All right. Someone said, James Barry, this person is not known to me. He said, life is a long lesson in humility. Life is a long lesson in humility. I want to give this to our Summer. What does it mean to you, Summer?
Thank you, Topics Master. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. Life is a long lesson in humility. I feel like I learn that every day when I think that I have things all set up and routines all in place, and my toddler is supposed to act a certain way during the day and have a certain behavior during the day. I am reminded that that does not happen. For example, during this meeting, he was throwing toys at my chair and telling me that he needed me. And it's a reminder that things don't go always according to plan. And although my husband was watching him, he just gave up. And so that left me with things being flung at me and loud noises in the background while speaking the grammarian script. And that's a lesson every day that I learn over and over again, that even if I think I have control, I really don't. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Toastmaster Summer. This is it. Madam Timer, how did we do time-wise?
Everyone was within time this evening. Congratulations.
All right. Okay. Are we ready to vote? We had Toastmaster David Perez, Natifa, Sophia, Mark, and Summer.
Yes, the polls are ready. We're ready to vote.
Thank you, participants. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hyun, for your very creative table topics tonight. That was lovely. And moving on to the third section of our meeting, evaluations, the gift of instant feedback and a key part of the success of Toastmasters. And tonight, as our general evaluator, please welcome Toastmaster Shay Greaves.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. Good evening, everyone. So we've made it to the evaluation section of this meeting. First, I would like to call forward our evaluators. So we've already had the time report for table topics. And now I'd like the time signals demonstrated for the speech evaluations, which are 2 to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay Greaves, our general evaluator of the evening. Timing signals will look like this. I will show the green signal at 2 minutes. I will show the yellow signal at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and I will show the red signal at 3 minutes. You will have 30 seconds to complete when the red signal goes up. Thank you, General Evaluator, Toastmaster Shay Greaves.
Thank you, Toastmaster Stacy. So evaluating our first speech, we have Susanna Tuldar. Please come forward.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay. Tonight I will be evaluating Ray Mendel's speech. We have seen him grow in this short month. Every speech keeps getting better and better, and we can see as an audience how he's composed, right? He looks very relaxed and comfortable. I would like to point out some of the good points that I've noticed. First one was hand gesture. He was standing up when he was doing his speech, and his hand gesture was great. And he opened the speech by asking us some very relatable questions. How many of us have gone through the day where we don't feel anything accomplished? And then with that question, he asked few other relatable questions. It grabbed the attention of the audience right away. That was a very strong opening, Ray. And then he moved on to another relatable principle, which is Pareto principle, 80-20 rule, which I also use in my at work too. I'm in quality. 80% of the defects are caused by 20% of the causes. So I can really relate to that. And I was smiling when he used his example of 20% of the shoes that he wears over again and again. So that principle was very relatable. Audience connected to that. And then he moved on to giving us some success lists. I hope some of you were taking notes as he was giving us the list. And then when he came to number 4, he ripped the paper and all of us were like, what just happened? And I think our Toastmaster even gave him a compliment. That was a very strong punch again. It grabbed the attention of the audience. So overall, a very good speech, grabbed the attention in the beginning. And when he ripped the page, those were some of the magnificent action that I noticed throughout his speech. Some of the areas of improvement, I would say, when you were standing up, Ray, the lighting was very dim. I could barely see your face. And also I could hear you fine, but it was not very clear. I think it must be the audio. And I understand you wanted to focus on vocal variety. I think you can still benefit it if you focus on vocal variety. It's not quite there as you had one expressed that you want to be able to express more. I would encourage you to work on that furthermore. Thank you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sujana. That was very observant of you to give him a feedback on the overall quality of his speech. And then also your pacing was very easy to follow. So thank you so much for evaluating Toastmaster Ray Melendez. So now evaluating Toastmaster Connie Andrews, we have Jack Miller. Please come forward. Jack, I believe you're muted.
There. Can you hear me? Toastmaster Connie, you did a great job in talking about a subject near and dear to you that you were raised for the last 68 years with. 70 years of marriage, 70 years of dance. I love the way you started out with a few good questions and the pauses were in there. I also thought you had some pauses that shouldn't have been in there, because then maybe you were thinking about pausing and you did it well. After a question, I think a pause is really appropriate so people can dwell on it a little bit. And you did that. You asked us several questions throughout your talk, and I really appreciated that because we could think about it. That 70 years is kind of interesting. I did a little research and I asked, how many people make it to 70? Well, what I found out is less than 3% of all marriages make it to 50 years. So the number to make it to 70 years has to be infinitesimally small. And I know your parents well. I love them dearly. I consider them my own parents now. So hearing you talk about this and the pride that you have for them showed through, and the love you had for them. I love the fact that you managed to use the word magnetic. Magnetic admiration specifically is how you said it. That magnetics and that admiration was very important, and the word viewpoint. I always love the word viewpoint, but listening to another's viewpoint and understanding something from someone else's viewpoint was so important. You brought that point forward very comfortably and in a good fashion. The one thing I would have liked to have seen you do a little more is on some of the adjectives, change your tone quality. While the pauses were great, there were times that you need to get that tone up and down to kind of not keep it at the same tone. Your tone was good and we could hear you well, but there was a level of, how shall I say, not, the tone variation was monotone rather than up and down. So I would like to have seen a little bit more of that. All in all, I think you did a great job. I did like the way that in the past, sometimes to get comfortable, you speak in a British or a country type accent for humor, but also for your own comfort level. And you weren't as comfortable speaking this time as I've seen you in the past when you do that. But I think it's important that you get used to using your own voice. And I'm glad you did it today. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jack, for a thorough evaluation, very supportive and positive as always. Next, I'd like to call forward Henry Dow, evaluating Tim Morrell's speech.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Oh, thank you, General Evaluator, Henny. Okay, So one thing I always enjoy when Tim speaks is that he always puts me to shame with his natural ability to speak and his confidence. Tim, thank you for that. Tim, in the beginning, you gravitated us with a question about the love of animals. I always feel like your storytelling is one of your strongest assets. You were able to demonstrate this mastery by fitting so many stories in your speech, but not overwhelming us. One thing I felt that was really relatable is the moral of your story, is that sometimes you can find a sort of salvation and awakening in the most least likely places. And it reminds me of a story about what you said about animals. And when I was a kid, the first time I pet a goat, I looked it in the eyes. I swear it was one of the happiest times of my life. And I still remember it to this day. So thank you for bringing that memory back to me. Tim, the good things that you did during the speech is that you never take notes or have any notes in front of you, which impresses me every time. You're super passionate about your speech, and it came off in the way that you were confident and comfortable with what you're speaking with. Your eye contact was constant. You had a good comfortable level, and you had good audience awareness by using visual props to get the message across with what you were speaking about. You demonstrated good vocal variety. Your tone, speed, and volume were on point, and your clarity, which is also one of your strongest suits, came off masterfully. It's quite difficult to evaluate your speeches because you're such a veteran and natural speaker, but two things I found were bad, well, not bad, but could have had room for improvement. Bad as in that I hope that you could fix your Wi-Fi, because in parts of your speech, you broke up a little bit and I couldn't quite understand what you were trying to say. Secondly, I wish that you would have had a stronger conclusion. You left me wanting more about how you're going to combine all your stories together and top it off with a good lesson for each and every one of us. As always, Tim, great speech, and I wish to hear the next one coming up. Appreciate it. And I like your parrot.
Thank you, Henry, for an overall strong evaluation of Tim. And now I'd like to move into evaluating our roles for tonight. Oh, actually, let's call on the vote for best evaluator. Gary, the polls are ready.
And everyone was within time.
A little backwards, but thank you, Stacy, for that update. Sorry.
Last vote. Give it another 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you, Shay.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the final portion of our evaluation section of the meeting. I'd like to comment first on our evaluators. So I started off with Sujana saying I thoroughly appreciated how observant you were of his speech, giving examples, and your pacing was easy to follow. The only feedback I would give you is in the Oreo method, we always want to end on a positive note, but there are other methods in delivering feedback. So if you're experimenting with your style, I think overall it was good. And also I would, like I said, your pacing was good, but I would also slow down a little bit for more emphasis in certain areas, because at times it did blend together, so that it's clear point by point. Thank you, Sonia. Sujana, not Sonia. Next, our evaluation by Jack Miller. Jack, you're always, again, thorough and observant. As I stated earlier, I love how supportive and positive you are in the feedback that you give. It's like you uplift the speaker that you're speaking to, and also you're your recollection of their past progression is always clear and beneficial to that speaker. And Henry, I loved your use of the Oreo cookie method, highlighting his strengths and wanting to also focus on areas of improvement, which is really hard for Tim. So you did an awesome job of highlighting the strengths in his speech and replaying and also connecting to your own personal life experiences from the stories that he gave us. So thank you. Moving into our roles within the meeting. So for our counter, there were times throughout the meeting that I didn't hear the bell, but closer to table topics, I started hearing the bell a little bit more often. I don't know if that was an audio issue or we were just doing that well during our speeches. Moving into I'd like to call for our grammarian's report for today.
General evaluator, the word magnetic was properly used, I think 2 times during the meeting by Connie. And I did not hear any grammatical errors. And I heard the following notable words and phrases. 20% of my shoes I wear 80% of the time. How do you dance for 70 years? Always be grateful. If life were predictable, it would cease to be life. I failed my way to success. And life is a long lesson in humility. And that is my report, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Summer. Counter, may I have the counter's report for today?
Still being generated here. 1 second.
No problem. So would it be better just to come back to you? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so our meeting did start on time. We welcomed our guests, Mark and Sophia. It is hard to find people in the box, so I don't blame Shastri for losing you. And sometimes you move around. That's funny. I don't know how that happens. Any dignitaries acknowledged? So we'd like to acknowledge Heon. Every week we acknowledge Heon as our dignitary. Will the meeting end on time? No, we are behind. And also, I really appreciated the quality of our table topics for today. It was creative, as was stated by our Toastmaster. Also, I'd like to thank our Toastmaster for a second week in a row, so eloquently and effortlessly, magnetically leading our meeting for tonight. How has any participants improved? Well, I'd like to also recognize Natifa. We've missed your voice. So you did an excellent job with our invocation. It did come a little late, but I'm really glad that we were able to create that spot for you. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and also the way that you speak. You just add natural, I guess it just feels like it comes from like a sage kind of voice. It adds extra weight to it. So thank you so much. And I want to go back to Ray. Are you ready now to give us our?
I am ready.
Okay.
I am ready. General Evaluator. The total number of fillers used by today is 21. The most fillers used by a member was 6. The most commonly used filler word today is used 5 times. The following Toastmasters did not use any filler words during the meeting, or at least I did not capture them. David, Sonia, Stacy, Connie, Tim, and Mark. That concludes my counter report, General Evaluator.
Thank you. So I would like to hand our meeting back over to our magnetic leader for Toastmaster of the Day, Sonia Garate. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Shay. Much appreciated. And at this time, we get to have our awards for our best speech, our best table topics, and our best speech evaluator. And Toastmaster Gary, you have those for us, please.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. I think every week the awards become more and more competitive. So great job to the club. You guys are all doing an amazing job. Stacy, would you be able to pull up the backgrounds? Are they on that computer? Or should we go without the backgrounds?
Unfortunately, I do not have them. We're going to request that
No
our.
worries. I need to get those.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
I'll
Well,
get 'em.
for our speaker, first place speaker of the evening, let's give a big round of applause to Toastmaster Connie Andrews. And for our table topics speaker of the evening, give a big round of applause to Toastmaster Summer.
Great job, Summer! Woo!
And for our first place evaluator for the evening, a warm round of applause to Toastmaster Susanna.
Yes, Susanna! Woo-hoo!
That concludes the awards.
Thank you.
Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gary. And members and guests, thank you for being here tonight. It's been a pleasure to serve as your Toastmaster of the day. I will not be serving in this role next week, so we need a Toastmaster for anyone who's thinking about serving. And I'd like to welcome now the one, the only President, Toastmaster Shastri Stewart.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you for doing a wonderful job for the past 2 weeks. You're an amazing Toastmaster. I'm actually learning from you, so great job. I know that we're running out of time a little bit, so I'll be brief. So I want to reach out to our guests. First of all, Sophia, if you could tell me what Toastmasters could do for you, how you see it benefiting you, and what were your thoughts on our meeting? What were your thoughts on our meeting, and how can Toastmasters benefit you?
I thought it was a great meeting. Thank you for letting me join. I really enjoyed the speeches, and you guys seem like a really great, welcoming group of people. So I'd love to be back. And what was your second question? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, so how can Toastmasters benefit you?
Gotcha. In my role, I do a lot of speaking through computers, asking people questions. So I guess able to articulate my questions clearly and get my point across. I think that would be very helpful, and just in general in life. So yeah.
Excellent. And did you say that you were going to join? Is that what I heard?
I think so. Yeah. I haven't made my decision
Maybe.
yet.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
no pressure now.
Yeah. Well, feel free to join our meeting next week.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And last but not least, Mark, what were your thoughts on our meeting, and how can Toastmasters benefit you?
Fantastic. You know, I really appreciated everybody's participation tonight. It showed very group effort, team workmanship, and positive note. And the ways that I feel that Toastmaster might benefit me would probably be along the lines of confidence in speaking in public matters, working in group environments, learning structure, and very much so just being in a community of like-minded, amazing people. And I'm complete.
Thank you, Mark, as always. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining our meeting. And thank you, Stacy, for allowing him to join our meeting. I also want to take this opportunity to really thank, recognize Shay, because we had Shay's birthday, 30th birthday was yesterday. So we actually went to the zoo and we had an amazing time. But I really wanted to recognize Shay because she does a lot of work behind the scenes and she's a very special person. So if you guys could just congratulate Shay on her 30th birthday.
Oh, thank
Let's
you.
all sing today. Everybody unmute. Everybody unmute. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shay.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Wow. I think we need a conductor though. It's all over the place.
I think that
Anyway,
I'm going to be sending out an email to everyone. Sorry, Shashri. I think we need to recognize people's birthday each month. So I'm going to send out an email to all our members to just respond to me with their month of birth and their day. That's all. So we can start recognizing.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Micheline. Thank you. And if I didn't mention before, Micheline is our VP of membership. So Sophia, if you're willing to join, Micheline could provide you additional information.
Thank you.
All right. Well, lastly, Natifa, thank you for joining our meeting. We've missed your accent. You guys probably don't know, but Natifa and myself, we're from the same country. So I usually don't speak. I don't have the heavy accent. I do have it with my family, but usually when I speak in front of my Toastmasters family, it's a different accent, kind of. So anyway, thank you for joining us, Natifa. Hopefully you could be with us next week. All right, so we need a Toastmaster. Any volunteers?
I've actually signed up.
Oh, Shay, you signed up? Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so Shay's our Toastmaster.
Waiting on it.
What's that?
I said unless we have someone else who is waiting on that moment, I will happily concede.
Okay. Well, I mean, if anyone else wants to take the role, you're free to. But for now, it's Shay. Any speakers? Speakers, come on. Jump in, head first.
I can speak. I'll be
All
happy
right,
to
I
speak if there are 3 speakers already.
Yeah, so Jan is one. None yet. Okay. Natifa, what about you? Well, I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
I think she said yes.
Oh, awesome. Excellent. All right, I'll help you out. I'll give you a call this week and we could, work something out. Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like
Henry,
to become a member.
In a while, man.
Oh, Mark
Hello?
is a member. Becoming a
Yeah,
member.
Mark would like to become a member and do my icebreaker speech.
Woohoo!
Oh, awesome. Yes.
I'll get with you, Mark, and we'll take care of the membership.
All right.
All right, so
ring the bell.
So one more speaker.
That's 3. Shashri.
Oh, it's us 3. Okay, all right.
Yeah, because that's
it.
Jan
3
and Natifa and Mark.
And Mark. Okay, perfect. Excellent. Wow. Mission accomplished. All right, so the remainder of the agenda needs to be filled out. So if everyone could fill out the agenda by Wednesday, hopefully. If not, that's okay. But if you could fill out the agenda by Wednesday, it will be helpful. So please go online and fill that out. If you won't be attending the meeting, please put that in the bottom of the agenda. All right, one last thing. I know that we're 8:14. One last thing I wanted to discuss with you guys is our engagement and our energy via Zoom. I know that we're not doing in-person meetings anymore, and I'm trying to find different ideas of how we could really convey our energy and our physiology through Zoom and have, you know, a little bit of higher energy during our meeting. So if anyone have any suggestions, let me know, shoot me an email, shoot me a text. But that's it. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful week and stay safe. Wear your masks.
Shastri, are we having a
We'll
business
have our
meeting?
executive meeting after. Yes. Yes.
Bye, everybody. Have a great, successful week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. Great job.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Sophia.